Vision Pro companies acquired, a rare earth investment, and Bluesky evolves. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Bzigo. Stop losing sleep over mosquitoes. Take back your nights with Bzigo. Go to bzigo.com/discount/buzz10 and save 10% off. Well, let's just touch on a couple things here because we should have a little bit of a serious side to the show with this group. What are my chances?
Why start now?
Yeah. Actually, I'm probably going to call on Marty and Eric and Dave on this one, throwing it into the chat room. But Apple has purchased two firms to improve Apple Intelligence and Apple Vision Pro, which to me, that all the questions about is this a quote unquote hobby? Will the Vision Pro be around? You don't go out and buy companies, for something that's not going to be around. And so this article is from Apple Insider. It sounds very encouraging, I think. Had you two had a chance to look at this one and have any thoughts on the way it's described?
Well, we were familiar with the True Meeting purchase because there was a story that last week included True Meeting and another company that they bought. I don't think it's the one that they're talking about here, Y Labs, in terms of hallucinations, but it was more about tracking. So those two companies that they have purchased are going to kind of help with the personas and help with the tracking essential components of Vision Pro. It's interesting to me about the Y Labs and the hallucinations or that can occur with large language models and how that's going to be potentially a piece of the purchase. I think the argument that either Dave or Eric, no, it was Daniel, I think, that started it off last night, said, you don't know if they've purchased these things because they're already using them and they want a professional business relationship, or there is new things that are going to come out of that as a result of the purchase. So it could be, we've been dating for a long time. Let's get married. And all the fun part in relationships is dating. And so, or it could be, let's get married and let's see what happens after that.
I mean, I think the True Meeting is going to be just the whole thing with personas and avatars, and I think Apple wanted to probably get in on this because they know they were getting a bit of flack for how the personas are currently. I mean, they got better with this latest update, well, at least in the beta, and then like Eric mentioned earlier that he would probably be joining us with one sooner than later. But I think that really stood out to make it more realistic, because people want to use their Vision Pros to be in meetings, and it's comfortable enough that having that kind of experience is going to be great. But it's going to be some regulatory and disclosure issues with this, so that's why we go into the assumption that this is probably somewhat of a rumor, but until Apple actually confirms and is able to confirm it, because they want to keep it, get the regulatory approvals before it goes. So that's my insight on that.
Eric?
Yeah, primarily the persona jump from the current OS version to the beta version was huge. And people's willingness to interact with it without commenting on it is big. And in fact, in some things, I think I almost prefer the persona over real images. There's some benefits like being able to carefully eat while you're talking to somebody without grossing them out. Probably shouldn't have said that because people will then notice, but it's a very welcome change. And my hope is they continue to make improvements like that. And the combating AI hallucinations is just a hint that they're intending on adding a lot more, and maybe some more conversational pieces where trying to prevent hallucinations is going to be very helpful. And if you've got virtual keyboards that you're typing on, you want to be able to speak and interact as much as possible. So I see all of that as a great sign, and a sign that we will have several additional Vision Pro models going forward.
Yeah, I feel good about this. And judging by the Vision Pro meetup that you guys had, there continues to be a huge amount of interest in the Vision Pro. Now, I understand that this was an echo chamber kind of event, but even so, people came down, they were seeing Vision Pro for the first time, and the biggest stumbling block, of course, is the price, but there's no lack of desire. So I don't think the Vision Pro is going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, and the price seems to be less of a stumbling block now, because if you're willing to take a bit of a chance, there's the used market that knocks a significant amount out of the cost. And it was interesting to me. It felt a lot more like the Mac users groups that I first started going to, where you bring your brand new Mac 2 in, the first one with color, and everybody wants to play with it and talk and figure out what things you can do on it and demo and stuff. The initial conversation before people showed up is, well, what do we demo, and how do we do it, and how do we make it interesting? And that, the whole how do you demo a Vision Pro, that still needs some improvement. It gets better each year, but it's a bit of a challenge. The trying to put artwork up on the walls and have some screens that you can walk through and look at the back of the screen and see how thin it is. And they had one wall that had two pictures up, being able to put a picture between the two, so that when you take the Vision Pro off, you notice that it's a blank wall and the artwork is missing. It's kind of a mental change. That was kind of cool. So I am hopeful that the demoing will get better and better as well.
Mark Fucci is not here tonight with us. He was in the chat room earlier. I'm not sure if he's still there or not, but he brought this one in. That MP Materials and Apple have announced a $500 million partnership to produce recycled rare earth magnets in the U.S. I've found this. I'm not about to try to equal Mark in his analysis of these things, but I thought this was really interesting from lots of perspectives. Not just the fact that it gives Apple a supplier of these rare earth magnets, but that it's focused on recycled. Apparently, they recycle old electronics to get the rare earth magnets, and so that all sounds very positive from every angle. But I also couldn't help but notice that, yeah, this is in the U.S., and that probably in the current political environment should play well with the White House. So this felt like a win-win-win across the board for only 500 million. Yeah, only, yeah. But so if you're into such things, I don't know, anybody know anything about this, or I have never heard of the organization. We all know some of the rare earth materials are a challenge to get, especially given some of the relationship with China right now, some of the things going on in Ukraine. So interesting that they found another source, and it's domestic.
Mark is in the chat.
Oh, Mark, yes. Oh, yeah. Hi, Mark. If you have any, Mark, feel free to either join us here or throw any comments in the chat. Would love to have your thinking. Okay, so he's been aware of what is it, MP Materials since 2019. He invested in 2021, sold in 2022. Been watching and waiting to re-enter. So, Mark, is now the time to buy? Any financial advice given on MacVoices is not done by licensed advisors.
In that case, rephrase it. MacVoices Live does not offer any sort of financial advice. These are merely the opinions of the guests, and in many cases, they are hallucinating. There, covered it for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and we're not even AI. He said, oh, and Mark just added, MP has agreements with GM, the Department of Defense, and now Apple. So, interesting company.
Well, and it's interesting because it sounds like they've been working together for a while, running through the process to kind of fine tune it. And judging by their 2027 date, they now have this is how we have to do it to get something useful. And they just need to build it on a bigger scale. So that at least seems like a good sign.
Yeah. Yeah, top to bottom. It again, I can't find a reason that this would be even a neutral. It just feels like a win across the board. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Bzigo. Stop losing sleep over mosquitoes. Take back your nights with Bzigo. Go to bzigo.com/discount/buzz10 and save 10% off. Summer is officially here, which means mosquito season is in full swing. Whether it's the annoying buzzing that keeps you up at night, waking up covered in bites, struggling to catch one before it disappears, or trying to keep your home safe for the kids, we've all been there. In a world where AI drives cars and automates homes, we still struggle to track down a single mosquito. That changes right now with Bzigo Iris, the first AI-powered mosquito detector revolutionizing pest control. Bzigo doesn't kill mosquitoes, it finds them. With advanced AI and infrared vision, Bzigo identifies mosquitoes, marks their location with an eye-safe laser pointer, and alerts you via the app. So you're not hunting a blur, you're walking in for the takedown. It's easy to set up, safe for kids and pets, and doesn't use any chemicals or spray. Just smart detection so you can rest easy. Stop losing sleep over mosquitoes. Take back your nights with Bzigo. Go to bzigo.com/discount/buzz10 and save 10% off. That's Bzigo, bzigo.com/discount/buzz10 and use the code BUZZ10 to get 10% off. Say goodbye to itchy bites and sleepless nights. Thank you, Bzigo, for sponsoring this edition of MacVoices. The FTC Click-to-Cancel rule that was annoying some services canceled by the courts. This was really, frankly, kind of disheartening. And if I understood the judge's rationale correctly, he was saying that this was not right for the sellers who don't want us to click to cancel. Yeah, you try to say it. Click to cancel once. I don't know. It just we've all talked about, and we've talked about a number of times here. We've had these frustrations where you can sign up for something with one click, but then it takes 25 and 2 hours to get unsubscribed or to cancel the service. And it looked like we were going to have a mandate, and now that's pretty much gone unless somebody appeals it. So,
Chuck, I'm going to try to avoid being political on this, and I will point out that I have not looked up anything about the judge that made the ruling. However, it feels to me as if this is a move more about politics than about what is right for customers. And I'll stop right there because I don't want to put us on a political debate.
Jeff, I'm going to ask you to go just a little farther, as far as politics as in lobbying, or politics as in the current state of affairs with the White House.
Current state of affairs with the White House. I
Okay.
think this is low-hanging fruit and easy picking for one White House administration to negate things that a previous White House administration had done, which is a thing that happens just in general. It, um, and yeah, but I'm feeling like this is more about about removing things that a previous administration had created than doing something that actually benefits customers, especially considering the rationale for this. That makes no sense at all.
It does if you're one of the services that didn't want to have the rule go into place. It makes perfect sense.
Of course, sure, but the purpose of this was for a benefit to the customers, and saying that well, this doesn't help the companies. Well, okay, that's true, but the companies abused their ability to gain customers or users, and they abuse that by creating an onerous and, in some cases, nearly impossible process for removing yourself from what you had previously opted into.
And it's funny, I appreciate what you're saying. When I read it, to me, it just spoke to the power of the money and the lobbying that goes on.
I'm sure there's some of that
So,
comes into play as well.
Yeah. So, anybody else have any thoughts
The-
other than other than disappointment?
Well, disappointment certainly, but there's also opportunity here. Whatever the reason this rule has been negated, consumers are now aware of this idea that perhaps a company could allow them to easily click to cancel. Whether it's mandated or not is a different story. But now that it is not mandated, companies have the opportunity to step up and say, we understand that this has been a problem. We're going to make it easy for you to cancel, whether it's mandated or not. And perhaps in that process, companies that refuse to do it or think that they're pulling one over on consumers because they're making them not only click 20 times and call 10 times and go through these massive phone trees just to cancel a $5 a month subscription. The companies that don't do that, the companies that do make it easy to cancel, may have a lot to gain from this. So it may not be mandated, but a forward-thinking company will continue with this, with the ability to make it easy to click to cancel, I think, in order to win over customers.
Jim?
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, there's a reason why this was, proposed as a law, because companies aren't doing that. Quite the
They
opposite.
weren't doing it, right? They weren't.
And
But
they don't want to do it. That's why they got this, they pushed hard against this, and this, I think this will have the opposite effect. There'll be a flood of companies going, "Oh, great, let's do it now. We've got carte blanche."
I think you're both right. I think, Jim, I think you're right. I think there'll be some companies that'll be even more emboldened. But I also think, Mike, that you're right, that if companies are aware enough and if people vote enough with their wallets, or what organizations know that they're not happy with this, it's going to attract customers. I mean, I can think of a few services that I would absolutely tell people do not subscribe to, because it'll take you having to call your credit card company and tell them to stop the payments to that organization because they won't let you cancel. That's the thing that I found to be the most effective, instead of spending hours on the phone. But I can think of also some that, yeah, click here to subscribe, click here to cancel, and it's perfect. So let's just hope.
I I think these companies make it hard to even find out what the cancellation process is.
Absolutely.
You know, it's hard to find that out before you sign up.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And also nothing to stop somebody from changing the policy, after you've signed up.
Well, that's true too.
You're 100% right, Jim. But I think that the companies that see the opportunity could stand to benefit from it if they're willing to give it a try.
Yeah. I know we've talked about this a little bit before. How many people here are on Bluesky? For a show of hands. Okay. So
Don't
I mean,
try too hard,
just-
Mike.
I mean, I have an account, but
ish. Okay, that's fine. Well, Bluesky is gets activity notifications as it tries to lure news and sports users, and I feel like this could be a fork in the road for Bluesky because it seems to be something that the Mastodon thing is great. And in fact, Brett Terpster did an amazing Mastodon presentation at Max Talk, but it's still just a little geeky for a lot of people. Bluesky is simple to understand. Bluesky feels like it was a lot closer to the way Twitter used to be in the early days, as far as simplicity. But news organizations, sports organizations have just not gone there and not adopted it. And maybe this is why, and maybe this will push that a little bit. I kind of hope so because I'm rooting for Bluesky to become a bit more mainstream. That's me. Webb, I know you frequently talk about Bluesky as the social media place that you recommend people connect with you. Do you think this will make any difference?
First of all, you're right. Every week you ask how can people find me. I mentioned my Bluesky account, which, by the way, as a reminder, you're the one who gave me the invite for it. So I'm blaming you. So
It's my fault, man.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I hope so. Now, ironically, Jeff, if I can call you out, you and I went out for coffee, and I asked you in the car, "What's the view about the what's what I want to call that X? It's not yeah. So and just why it was." What was it? Why was X so chastised so much?
And I thought we had a nice intellectual discussion about that.
I thought so too. We don't need to go through it all right now, but I'm calling out Jeff because he is one of the minds that I've come across because of this platform. That he really has a very thorough view. Okay. Now I don't want to call you out, Jeff, but you the Twitter platform and moved on to other platforms.
I did. And
justifiably
you're welcome to
so.
call me out anytime. I have no problem.
But justifiably so, and I think people have their reasons for it. But let's get back to the main question that you asked, Chuck, is that as much as we like to go to Mastodon or Threads or whatever, if you follow the main media platforms, whether it's going to be ESPN or your local news affiliate, whatever it is, they still haven't gotten off of the X platform. Some have. It's hard to make an all inclusive statement like that, but for the most part, that's the ones that I see. And I commend Bluesky for at least trying to get people to these media outlets to jump over. So will it work? We'll see. It could not. My reason why I chose Bluesky, I like the name. There's nothing more or less to it than that. So it's an emotional decision more than anything else. Just like I think people who jumped away from Twitter is an emotional decision as well. they can justify it, but there's an emotional component to it. So anyway, I hope they do well. I will, as the Bluesky representative here, I welcome them with open arms. But I'm not going to be, holding my arms out forever. Just knock on my door, call me, reach out to me through Bluesky, whatever. But I hope they do well. Do I think it's going to change much? No. I've been wrong before.
Oh, Webb,
Yes, sir.
is it going to change anything? Not today. Where it can change is if one of these companies, sports organizations, whatever it is, insert the thing of interest here.
Yeah.
If they want to make a whole scale move to another social media platform from where they are now, and I don't care what that platform is today.
Yeah.
They need to engage their followers on the current platform and give them incentive to move over to where they want them to be. And if you just do the Field of Dreams thing, if we build it, they will come. No, they won't. People need inertia to move, and so you have to give them that inertia. And yeah, so if sports organizations want people to follow them on Bluesky, they need to tell them on X, we're on Bluesky, here's why you should go there and follow us, and make it enticing. If they're not doing that, I don't
I agree with
think
the
they're going
first
to
part.
get
I
the
don't know how
people
you
to
do the
move.
second part.
I'm the idea guy.
But you're right. I think first thing you get one of the monsters on the platform. You get an ESPN, would be the 800-pound gorilla in the athletic space. I don't think that yeah, as the news platform, I think it's very interesting because if you look at the three major outfits on cable news, which is going to be Fox, CNN, and MSNBC, they're all so fractionalized to their own audience that I don't know if you're going to get that broad cross-platform audience on the news sites, unfortunately. But anyway, I wish them well.
Mike, I think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I probably didn't have anything particularly intelligent to contribute to this, but I do think this is a good move. I think it's a smart move to try to lure news and sports. Well, first you have to lure the news and sports organizations, and then you get the news and sports users. And to Jeff's point, how do you entice them to make the switch? I guess, very often the way you do that is with some sort of exclusive content. Content that people can only find on Bluesky. If you really want people to switch over to it, if you really want them to follow, or let me rephrase that, if you really want people to follow you on that other platform, you have to give them content on that other platform that they're not going to get anywhere else. So that would be one way to do it, I suppose. My comment was going to be, I really like Bluesky. I think it's fantastic. I believe in Brett's presentation, he referred to it as disappointing. And I don't know that I would refer to it as disappointing. It does feel very much like the early days of Twitter, which is something that I liked. At the same time as the early days of Twitter, there was also a service called Pounce. And I really loved Pounce. And one of the things I liked about Pounce was the long form posting that they allowed. And pretty soon, not too long after that, Twitter started to allow long form posting as well, or longer form posting. And that's something that I can and do. No, I didn't say do, Jeff. That is something I do on Mastodon. And I guess my frustration, if I were to phrase it that way, with Bluesky is in cross-posting. And that I don't always have the time to sit there and craft a new post when I want to switch to another platform. And very often I find myself posting on Mastodon first, and then I want to post on Bluesky. And when I do attempt to cross post on Bluesky, and I don't necessarily want to change my message, but when I do attempt to cross post on Bluesky, inevitably, every single time, I've exceeded the character limit. And then I find that I have to, do what I didn't want to do, and that's sit there and recraft the post and just take longer and longer. And then I found as time went on, I just kind of stopped going over to Bluesky and cross posting because I had to go through that process every time. I know there are tools that can help me automate that. I've not investigated those tools. I'm the type of person who likes to kind of handcraft my posts anyway and not automate them. But I think that's probably where I'm at with Bluesky, is I just kind of stopped. I just stopped because it took me longer to get that second post out there than I wanted. I didn't want to spend that time. But I do like the service, and I want them to succeed, and I think it's fantastic, everything that they're doing. It's just from a personal standpoint, I gravitated to Mastodon. I just really like the way the service works, and perhaps if Bluesky can add just like 100 extra characters, I would be happy.
Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add, I'm just going to give a couple comparisons. The Athletic, that was its own single service, and then New York Times bought them. That was a completely focused sports coverage. Then you have Apple, who's got into their sports app. Look at how much they've expanded between all the sports. Brian was here. I'm sure he would have some comments about this topic. But then you look at all the news sources, like you talked about, CNN, MSNBC, and all that. Then News Nation becoming a little bigger now. Those are all being sold off. Like Warner Brothers, Time Warner, whatever the name of the company is now, is selling them off. It's going to spin it off to another company. Then there's going to be more battles with the eyeballs for streaming. But my point is just on Bluesky, I think it will attract a lot more people because that's what I could do a lot of times in social media. Is I'm looking for some news. I mean, I'm not on X very much. I mean, even though I still have an account, I don't check it out that much. I mean, and I do find a lot of interesting things with Mastodon. But like we said with Brett's presentation, Mastodon has become more of a tech-oriented audience. So I know they're starting to attract more people on there, but they really haven't gotten there yet. But I think Bluesky has got some potential in bringing in the news and sports folks, because that's what people are very active on in social media, talking about. I mean, I'm even on Facebook. I see so much feeds for MLB and NFL, and there's so much activity with sports and news for that matter, that I think Bluesky should really do this, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
Yeah. Anybody else want in this? Have any thoughts?
The notifications, that is really big, because if you're not actively always on that particular platform, or you're splitting time between 3 or 4 different platforms, having a notification on your phone that says, oh, the person that you specifically said, yep, whenever they post, I want to hear about it, or you're going to an event with a group of people and you want to know every time anyone in that group posts, that's very useful.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.